folks, we have returned to the Scarif Cafe. Just chilling here with some friends, ordering a drink. I know it's been hot around the country. It's been kind of warm in Chicago. Well, it has to be hot around the country. It's summer, for Christ's sake. But taking a nice little stroll here around town, checking out the sights, and I'm going to order a drink. Welcome, folks, to the Scarif Scuttlebutt Cafe, a short episode. We're going to bring in some new friends, Nathan and Andrew from Talk About Tatooine. What's up, guys?
Happy to be here.
What up?
Super excited, and also roasting here in Washington State.
There you go. But it's summertime, and you just kind of have to go with the flow, if you know what I mean. But what's your favorite? What's a favorite time of the year for you guys?
Andrew, go ahead and start us off.
It's got to be fall. It's got to be autumn. I'm a big old pumpkin spice boy.
Nice.
Oh, I love fall. I mean, Halloween is like probably one of my favorite holidays. It's so fun. I can't even tell you how many times I've dressed up as like a Jedi or something for Halloween, or a Sith for that matter.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I am an early summer guy, like right before it gets hot, but right when it starts to get nice out and we actually get light again. And that also means I can be outside and I can barbecue and I can smoke meats. So that's the driving force for me.
Very nice. I think I like a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. It's been a great summer, obviously, but fall is really nice too. It's not super hot. Things don't melt on your dashboard during fall. Halloween is nice too, because you get to kind of pretend, especially when you're walking around the neighborhood as a Sith, scaring the small children. I like that. It's a lot of fun.
I'm sure they love it.
Yes,
they do.
One time, like the first time, as you can see, I've got Darth Vader behind me here, but it's an outfit. And the first time I put it on, I was in the neighborhood walking around, and it was really cool. There was a young couple with their small little girl. She started walking over to me, and I hear the dad say, "Oh no, sweetheart, hold on a second. Be careful. That's Darth Vader. We'll explain him later in life when you get older."
I love that.
It was really, really great. Fun stuff.
Like, you don't know him, but he's important for later.
Yes. He'll definitely make an impression. But Halloween. Halloween's a lot of fun. We've had a couple of discussions, special shows on Halloween, but it's really great because we get to, like you said, get to kind of dress up and pretend to be somebody else, which is really cool. I'm never the good guy though. I'm always the bad guy. I wonder what that's all about.
They're more fun to be anyway.
Absolutely.
How many Star Wars games have you played where it's like, well, I could use the light side powers that are like, well, you can heal yourself, or you can shoot lightning out of your fingertips. So
exactly.
Like, well,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Easy choice. Yeah. What's that Capital One commercial? It's easy. What's the? Oh, not what's it? Not what's in your wallet, but the other ones. It's anyway. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
It's too funny. But so I wanted to talk to you guys, specifically. And again, thank you guys for joining us on episode 195 of Scarif Cafe. Talk about Tatooine. Tell me a little bit about your shows. It's funny because I know that you guys used to talk about like everything under the sun, kind of. Pulling from all corners of the fandom, and then you guys decided to kind of narrow it down to a couple of things, and then Brad and I, we actually we kind of did the opposite, where we started talking about Star Wars when Star Wars Celebration came to Chicago. We started the podcast in 2019. Nice. And so we started talking only about Star Wars, but then a year and a half goes by, And not that we didn't enjoy talking about Star Wars, because we're still doing it, obviously, but we realized that our nerdum kind of spans other fandoms. So which it was really nice to be able to kind of rebrand and be able to talk about comic books and Star Trek, the other white meat, as I like to call it. Star Wars and video games and comics and things like that. So it's been really fantastic talking with other folks that that do the same thing, I guess. But it's funny how you guys started one way and we kind of like met in the middle, so to speak. Yeah. Tell me about your podcast.
So you nailed it right on the head. So we actually came up with this idea where we had all these different podcasts we actually listened to, and we were like, man, I wish they had a little bit more like cross integration with different nerddoms, because we found like a lot of Star Wars fans also liked Star Trek and video games, and like we're big Warhammer 40,000 fans, which is a kind of one of our main focuses alongside with Star Wars. And we were like, man, we just wish there was like something that incorporated all of that. And so we decided to make our own podcast, and we were doing game reviews, movie and TV reviews, talking about pretty much anything under the sun that we were interested in. But we found that kind of bit us in the butt a little bit. We didn't quite get the traction we wanted to. And so, like you said, we kind of narrowed our focus a little bit, and that's actually done really good things for us. Not saying we won't open it back up in the future, but we're really excited about what's going on right now, just talking about Star Wars and just talking about Warhammer. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Very nice. Cool. Excellent. Yeah. That's fantastic. The one thing that I really enjoy about, being able to podcast and just talk to other folks is really the community that the podcast community really has opened up, the ability to discuss the things that we like, and maybe a little bit on the other side too, discuss some of the things that we don't like and why we don't like it, what's cool about it, what's not cool about it. I think the aspect of communicating with other content creators has been a lot of fun for Brad and myself. Obviously we started the Red 5 Network, which is our little collection of just other folks that do the same thing. So it's been
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was wondering who was like at the bottom of that, because I've heard a couple of different Red 5 podcasts, and I'm like, who started this? That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons, we're all fans of something, and we kind of, wanted to keep it under, one collective, hence the Red 5 Network. But it's been fantastic being fans with other fans. And what has your experience been? You guys started when? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, just about 2 years ago. We had a long period of kind of like planning before we started actually recording episodes. And we just did episode 78 yesterday. So that does put us at about a year and a half, I guess. So, yep.
Wow. What, Andrew, tell me about your guys' experience regarding just connecting with other people. How has it been?
It's been really interesting. Like being a smaller podcast, I am kind of my own worst critic. My first initial thought is like, no one's going to take us seriously. And that has been almost proven wrong every time I reach out to somebody. People are really willing to like talk, and like just this month, like we've really made a push to narrow our focus, like we've already talked about, and really start reaching out to other content creators. And our schedule feels like it's filling up really quick. And I'm like, oh, this is actually a lot of work. And now I'm like being overloaded with I'm like talking to Nathan, I'm talking to people, I'm being like the intermediary between like making sure that we're on the same page with talking with you guys and other content creators. And I'm like, this is an amazing problem to have. Like, yeah, I'm having a great time. We have some Warhammer content creators that we've reached out to, because Warhammer is never not doing something, which is awesome if you're going to be a Warhammer content creator. And there's a lot of crossover between, if you like Star Wars, there's probably a decent amount of stuff in Warhammer that you will also like. So we're just having a blast right now. Not to mention like our channel growth is our YouTube channel specifically grew 25% in the last month. And
very nice.
That was from narrowing our focus, and we're seeing gains from that. And it's like, it's really nice to see like people are getting like engaged with the platform. You know, there's trolls here and there, but like I would say 75% or more of the comments we get are like people who are just thrilled to be engaging with the fandom. And that's awesome.
And that's I think that's the secret really is if you're having fun and engaging with other folks, I think that makes it worthwhile for a lot of us that are doing this behind the camera, behind the microphone. But it's, you know, it's fantastic just being a fan. And like I said, just being a fan and talking to other fans. But you know, since we're going to be talking about fan projects, especially in the Star Wars arena, I think it's you know, they say, what is that saying? The best form of a compliment is, I forgot what it was.
Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, something along that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think, you know, when it comes to you know, fan projects, I mean, you know, just in the Star Wars arena, I think there's a lot of fan projects that kind of do a really great job of imitating, you know, Star Wars in one way or another, whether it's a dramatic short video that somebody did or kind of a parody, like a spoof of. But I think it's really cool that Star Wars has been able to, you know, not only survive itself by, you know, creating all this, you know, wonderful content for us to kind of review and critique and talk about with other fans, but you know, has survived even despite itself with a lot of parodies. But really, you know, if a creative person spends the time to do a parody or do a fan film of some sort, I mean, you know, that is by no means, you know, an indication of something that you don't like. I mean, there's a lot of fans out there. There's a lot of projects out there that are, you know, blood, sweat, and tears that are really, you know, worth looking into. But yeah, I wanted to jump right in. I mean, fan projects for Star Wars, there's a lot of them, but so many, and so many great ones too. It's like some of them that are, you know, benchmarks for other fan projects. But I wanted to get your takes, your guys' takes. What are some of your favorites that you guys have kind of discovered throughout the years?
I think one of the interesting thing is as we were chatting about this over on Discord the other day, Andrew actually predicted the one I was going to talk about. Of course, I'm a huge Republic Commando fan. The video games, the Karen Travis novels were some of like just my like favorite time, like ways to spend time in the Star Wars universe. And so a while ago, I watched the fan film Shadow of the Republic. I originally found it over on YouTube. I believe Cinematic Captures is the channel for that one. And I saw this and I was like, oh, this is like kind of weird. The thumbnail's super catchy. It's this like Dark Republic Commando, super bright blue LED visor. And I was like, this kind of looks like a little bit of clickbait. And so that's actually what originally got me in. And then I realized like, oh, somebody spent the time and animated like 5 minutes of a short. And I was like blown away. I was like, this is super great animation. And I felt like the story that it told in such a short amount of time really like it was super intense, like great combat, like lots of like close quarters action. And it gets pretty gnarly by the end. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, but it ends very much on a like kind of a hairpin turn.
Wow.
And you just realize how much like Palpatine's got his fingers and everything. You want it to be real. Like that's how I felt at the end of it. I was like, I want this 5-minute clip to be canon. I want it to be in the Star Wars universe. I was so here for it. It was one of my favorite works. So
that's awesome. And yeah, all of the little projects that when you're talking about, I'll definitely put them in the description of this podcast so folks can find them. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of fan projects out there that are really, really great. Some not so great. I would say that a lot of them are not so great. But kudos for trying. I guess they get points for at least picking up a camera and shooting something, I guess.
Yeah,
but
there's a few studios that make some animations, and their like dog fights are amazing.
Yeah.
But some of the mocap on the face is like
it's gnarly.
It's really uncanny. It's like Uncanny Valley all the way to 10, and it's real weird. But it's like they're still really fun shorts. I had a couple that I was watching through, and I was like, man, I just can't get over the way their faces look. Like that's tough. So, but again,
I'll
very
have to
good
check it out
though.
I'll have to check it out for sure. There is I'm gonna give some props and some shit to another one of our Red 5 Network podcasts. They recently had a show about Star Wars parodies, and I listened to the entire show, and not once did they mention, and I was waiting for it, not once did they mention Hardware Wars from 1978. You guys might look a bit too young to have been there during that time, but I'm sure other fans at least know about it. There is this thing called YouTube that you can search anything and you'll find it. But Hardware Wars was probably the original Star Wars parody. And if you have not seen it, it is a must watch for any Star Wars fan, especially a Star Wars fan that enjoys a little, ribbing of the original film, for sure. But Hardware Wars was one of those amazing, once in a lifetime parodies for Star Wars. 1978. You guys were not even a glimmer in your parents' eyes, I'm sure.
Not even close. That reminds me. It kind of brought up old memories of watching the Family Guy Star Wars specials.
Yes.
And those ones, when those came on, I was like, I didn't matter what I was doing. I was like, I'm watching these right now.
Those are great.
So
great. Blue Harvest and Dark Side something. Those are great. Andrew, what about you?
So I had two answers. I had one that was actually a parody, which is just called For the Empire. They did 2 seasons actually of kind of like 2 to 3 minute clips. But the first season actually had me in stitches. I was watching it while I was in the office, and I had to cover my mouth because I was laughing so hard. And it just follows like these 2 stormtroopers. One of them is TK FKU, and the other is TK FNG. And so TK FNG, the fucking new guy, he's just so annoying. And like it's just him like dicking around in his stormtrooper armor, just like singing, and he'll be like he'll like click his helmet and he'll be like, Palpatoons, play something cool. And that's like a running joke throughout the show. And the first like 2 minutes I was like, this is a little weird, and by the end I was absolutely busting up laughing. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. The YouTube channel is called AFK, just the letters. It is so funny. It's like a whole half an hour just to watch all of season 1. Very, very funny.
Too funny. Hilarious.
The second one is definitely a lot more serious. It's just called X-Wing. It's made by Noble Engine.
I think I've seen that one, yeah. And
it follows their dramatic retelling of the Battle of Coruscant, which takes place in Michael Stackpole's 1996 book, The Krytos Trap, where
I love that book.
I feel like we're outside of the statutes of limitations as far as spoilers go. So where the Super Star Destroyer comes up from under the surface of Coruscant and like destroys an entire like metric mile of city. It's that fight, and it's really cool. It follows Wraith 1 and Wraith 2, and they're just like screaming through the buildings. It takes a lot of visual inspiration from Star Wars Squadrons. Like the animation is done really well. The only thing I don't like about it is the mocap of the faces. That's the only but those are hard. Those are really hard to do. Like if you don't have like the actual like mocap rigs with, I think it's like a minimum of like 10 cameras with all like the little dots on the faces, you can't really mocap a face all that well. And especially the mouth and their words, very difficult to capture. It's super hard to get that down. But everything else, it's like a 3-minute video. It is phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite Star Wars books of all time. So to see that on the screen, I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing in the whole world. I was just totally geeking out about it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's funny though, because, when we talk about fan films, I think we've all selected some fan films that are a little bit more on the modern side. And I think with computer technology that has been so prevalent and available to the regular Joe Schmo, doing this thing, in the basement of their parents' home, as we say, it's been incredible to kind of see the progression of fan films coming from the early 70s, or the late 70s when Star Wars came out, to something like one of my selections, which is Darth Maul from 2016. That one was really, really fantastic. It was well shot, well produced.
So good.
And it's funny though, because another one of my selections was a 1997 parody called Troops. And in the 90s, the show Cops was a big hit. Very popular. Everybody knows the song "Bad Boys, What You Gonna Do?" So they kind of took that theme and then did Troops with it, stormtroopers, and we get a glimpse as to what actually happened during that incident at Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's place. So that is like one of the first times that I remember thinking to myself, wow, fan films are getting really sophisticated, because you see, TIE fighters in space, you see speeder bikes on Tatooine, and these are just, fans that were able to, go out to the desert and shoot all this stuff. So it's really wonderful to see the progression of special effects, during that time, and with some of the projects that are out now. It's just fantastic.
For sure.
I remember
I did a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I actually did a little bit of research. So one of the ones I mentioned for the Empire, they do a lot of it's like hyper realistic animation through the Unreal Engine, and that spur in technology was actually caused by COVID, because like their studio was in New Zealand, which had like really harsh COVID restrictions, and basically it locked everything down, and they were actually filming a different series, and they basically had to come up with a new way to shoot socially distanced, and they figured out how to use the Unreal Engine with things like LED backlighting of screens, and which I believe then became the same technology that was used in the volume of The Mandalorian. So it's like this horrible event actually gave us like some pretty cool innovations in places like, fan films and in the actual film industry as well. So
yeah, absolutely. What's the other saying? I'm going to be very prophetic on this episode. Necessity is the father of invention.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. And for me, I'm a big technology guy. I love film technology. I think, besides the spaceships and the laser swords, I think the technology of making a Star War back in 1976, when they were making it, that, when I saw it as a kid in 1977, that's one of the things that really sparked my imagination, besides all the cool visuals. I think the fact that, I came to learn that all these, technicians and craftspeople were responsible for making all this stuff, because it looks so real. I mean, George Lucas's lived-in universe, I mean, it was a genius move. Everything had dirt on it. It looked like it actually came from somewhere, far away. And I, as a kid, I was like just blown away. Really, really loved it. Yeah, I mean, fans have been super crafty in the last couple of years and very inventive in their shows. I'm going to ask you guys this: if you guys were spearheading a fan film, what kind of topic would you guys pick?
Ooh, I would say I would go for something that's like hasn't been explored in modern I guess in the modern timeline of Star Wars. I'm a huge Old Republic fan, so I would probably go way, 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 way far back into the Old Republic, even back to the events of Light of the Jedi. Like Light of the Jedi? Am I thinking the right one? No, I can't remember the novel now. That's gonna
Light of the Jedi is High Republic.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the wrong book, but go like way, way far back to Dawn of the Jedi. That's what I'm thinking. And like just like write some origin stories, like characters that don't necessarily need to be around, but really just like start telling the story of how the Jedi and the Republic came to where they were. Just start putting little pieces of history down. So that's probably what I would do.
Very nice, very nice. Andrew, how about you?
I think one of the huge scenes actually from Rogue One that made Rogue One my favorite Star Wars movie, and I rewatch it like kind of often enough to where my wife comments that I watch it too often.
You're a good man, Andrew. You're a good man.
It's where Cassian shoots the informant in the streets of the busy city. That is the kind of Star Wars where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not a level of Star Wars that we rarely see, really, even outside of the books, because even a lot of the books are written for sometimes a younger audience. They're listed as YA novels or whatever. But if I had to direct a fan project, I would want to do something that definitely gets into the seedier part of the Rebel Alliance and the things they had to do in order to secure their freedom from the Empire. I mean, like Luthen's speech in the Andor TV series, where he's like, I have given up everything that I am to destroy the Empire. I have had to basically get on their level as far as evil and depravity. Like, that's the stuff I would love. I would love to see like a Spec Ops thriller type fan series. And I think, I mean, I'm not a director. That would be really hard to pull off because fan films don't do ultra serious stuff well. It can sometimes come off a little cheesy. Shadow of the Republic did it really well. That very much had a SEAL Team 6 vibe to it. And that's really the kind of essence I would want to see from a fan project that I would do, is like brutal guerrilla warfare and shadow, like, you know, what we do in the shadows, not the vampires, but like actual.
Right.
Like, hey, this is where we're going to get our hands dirty. So
that's awesome. Yes. And I think we're going to get a glimpse or at least a hint of a glimpse of that scene when we conclude the final parts of the Andor season 2 series. So wait. Really looking forward to that. You know, I like when Star Wars is dark and gritty. I know a lot of people like all the cute little Grogus and Mandos and cute little aliens, but you know, if Vader's out there killing children, I'm in.
There you go. Preach. And I think people forget that the OG Star Wars fans, I'm like, we're all grown up now. Like we're all
dark.
Absolutely. We're ready for some red meat. Like, let's go. Let's get it. So
yeah. Too funny. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Tony Gilroy is a wonderful creative person. I think has added a lot of great things to Star Wars in both Rogue One and the Andor series. I hope they give him another movie.
Yeah.
And if they do, I hope they tease out some sort of story with Saw Gerrera. I think there's a book I read by Beth Revis, Rebel Rising, and it dealt with some missions of Saw Gerrera's and the early life of Jyn Erso, which I think was fascinating to me. I think that era in Star Wars 2 is kind of ripe for rawness. I think you know,
yes,
like the the kind of the early beginnings of the Empire, where they I like when the Empire is brutal. I don't know. I'd have to talk to my therapist about that one, but I think it's really cool. But
I don't know. I think you're onto something here.
yeah. But good stuff. Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to put these projects that we talked about in the description below for you guys to check out. And please, if you're listening to this, give us your thoughts on your Star Wars fan projects, and give us your thoughts on these as well. Gentlemen, it was fantastic talking with you guys, and next time we'll have to do a complete episode, longer topics, so we can kind of tease some other stuff out. Now that I know that you guys are almost as dark as we'll get you back.
Perfect.
Back real soon. But for folks that made it half hour into this episode, why don't you tell the folks where people can find you to say hello there?
So you can find us at Talk About Tatooine on most handles. We are quite prolific on many different social media, but really follow us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That's like where we get the most amount of traction over there. But we're also on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Threads. We do a lot of like live streaming on Twitch as well. That's where you get to see us be goofy on a day-to-day basis. So I would say Twitch and YouTube are probably where you'll catch us the most. Excellent. Just don't put penis pictures in your Discord servers, right?
Oh yeah,
Nope.
You heard about that. Whew.
That's another podcast.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a day.
Gosh.
Sounds great. But yes, thank you guys. Again,
you.
if you guys have any thoughts, hit us up on the Scarif Scuttlebutt hotline. That's 773-234-8659. We love to hear what you have to say. Until next time, this is Ro, and please give these guys a follow. Talking about Tatooine. Is that right? Yeah, right.
Talk About Tatooine.
There you go. And give them a follow, subscribe to their podcast, and follow them on all the socials. Until next time, it's always sunny on Scarif, and that's the Scuttlebutt.